I want to quickly go over the two sugyot that you looked at in class the other day. So the first is this. Amar bi kuspedai, amar bi shabtai. So we have a memra. This memra is a source. Remember, we always wanted to distinguish sources from discussion. And one of the things that you often see is a sugya will start with a source. This is the source we're discussing. Sometimes there'll be a question, but often a source. Now that source may be, it may be that they're focused on discussing a line from the Mishnah, and they'll bring other sources to discuss, to analyze that. But other times it's reverse. A different source here, a memra, is the main source they're discussing, and they're going to draw on our Mishnah to ask a question about that. So the memra says it's simply a statement of a halacha. Kol yamav shel ben Surah, right? All the days of ben Surah, einan ela, right? Remember that double negative. They're none but, or they are only shlosha chodashim bilvad, 3 months. Now, that's a span of time, because you know that it's not that from 3 months old, the span of time. Right? The whole period of, and again, we're in this Mishnah, the key word is eligibility. The whole period of eligibility is 3 months. V'ha'anan tanan. So you first of all just know that that's introducing a new source. So you know that we can sort of separate that out. You also know from hopefully having looked up this phrase that v'ha is a way of starting an objection. So we have a kushya. And from the word tanan, you know that kushya is coming from the words of our Mishnah, right? Tanya would be a braita, but tanan, our teaching, is the Mishnah. But haven't we said, haven't we taught? That is in fact the words from our Mishnah, meaning giving us the beginning and end point. So you already know that this is a kushya on Rabbi Shabtai's memra. What's the kushya? Rabbi Shabtai said there was a definite, sort of finite time period, 3 months, and this seems to be much more individualized from when the kid reaches this stage of development to this later stage of development. It certainly, we assumed when we discussed it that period would be much longer than 3 months, but regardless, the point is that it is a variable length of time depending on the kid, and certainly not finitely defined. Okay, so now we have a Imra and then a Kushya. Now, the fact that we're now repeating these phrases should be an indication that we are now in the Teruts stage. What is the Teruts? Well, to understand the Teruts, you need to fill in some words, because it says, Hikif Sakan, Afagav Zlomalu Shoshashim. So, the beard surrounds, even though there haven't been 3 months. So how do you fill that in? You've got to give yourself an if then, right? If beard fills out, then even though it hasn't been 3 months. And what's implied there? Even though it hasn't been 3 months, he is exempt, right? That's the point. The point is, well, if this happens, then even though that hasn't happened, he's done. And vice versa. Right? Oops. Malu shlosha chodashim, afal gav delo hikif, is just the reverse. If 3 months, then even though no beard. So the Teruts is, if this happens, then he's exempt, even though that hasn't happened, and vice versa. Meaning both statements are therefore true. The period ends. It seems, in this sugya at least, that the beginning point is agreed upon. There's no debate about that, Be- because the Maimer doesn't mention it. The beginning point is agreed upon, and then both endpoints are right in the sense that the rule is whichever comes first. We have Memra, we have our Kushya from the Mishnah, and then we have our Teruts. The crucial thing to understand about this is um, that what's the net effect? And the effect is a much shorter time span than we had originally imagined. 3 months is the maximum, and it could potentially be even less. So, in our sort of eligibility framework, we already saw a sort of confining of uh, eligibility to a certain age and gender. Here we have confined it even more. Okay.